back to World Crisis Radio, Webster Tarpley, and of course Tarpley.net, where you can get all these interesting books. We've already mentioned Surviving the Cataclysm on some of the economic history sides and others. Now let's talk about the New Deal, right? We're celebrating the 75th anniversary of Franklin D. Roosevelt signing the Social Security Act, and that has a number of major provisions in it, right? One is the old age pension under attack by Bowles and Simpson and Peterson, that sinister commission of austerity vampires, austerity ghouls, and austerity fanatics that's going to be meeting, and they're going to try to get their genocidal recipes in through the lame duck session, because make no mistake, it means that people die. Morbidity and mortality go up if their crackpot schemes go through. We just had a very eloquent defense of Social Security from James Roosevelt at that meeting of the Retirement Research Institute of the University of Michigan meeting here in Washington. There is no Social Security crisis. Social Security is fully solvent for the next 27 years until 2037 is the year, I believe. Check that speech by James Roosevelt. You can see the whole thing online. The reactionary Republicans will say, yeah, but that's based on those IOUs that don't mean anything. Those IOUs, dear reactionary friends, are United States Treasury securities. That's the safest security in the world unless you let the reactionary Republicans take over the government. And then, as the unlamented Peter Schiff said, we want to have a default. They want the United States government to default. Schiff has now been dispatched by the voters. He let the cat out of the bag. He wanted a U.S. government default. That would be a catastrophe for the average citizen. And remember that when Newt Gingrich got in there with his friend Domenici, and they were being advised by Soros and Druckenmiller back in 1995, they were happy to accept a U.S. government default as a means of limiting the ability of the government to borrow and limiting government spending. In other words, they were willing to cut their own throats to spite their faces. They were willing to cut their jugular veins in order to spite their own noses. They were eager to do it. So there is no crisis in the Social Security system. The fear-mongering by these reactionary cockroaches is such that they're trying to convince younger people that it won't be there. Well, it'll be there. It'll be there, first of all, if you maintain the solvency of the U.S. government, which is fairly easy to do, using New Deal methods of the kind that I display on my website, my 5-point program, which is, I think, the gold standard in terms of a program to get yourself out of a depression, an economic recovery program. The lessons of the New Deal, and including the mistakes of the New Deal, incorporated in there as positive indications for what to do. The old age pensions are going to be fine. Why not remove the cap on the payroll tax so that the rich earning millions of dollars in wages, if there are any such left, they can simply pay the same payroll tax that you pay. Why should rich people get tax breaks because they earn more? And it's really a regressive taxation, right? Because it falls mostly on the lower ranks of the wage earners. So the Social Security old age pension is going to be fine. And here's my proposal. Increase the benefits. Don't just maintain the benefits. Increase the benefits. You pick up any paper today, you're going to find stories about how the defined benefit pensions are a thing of the past. There are companies now that are going bankrupt, and in the process of bankruptcy, with the help of corrupt courts, these nefarious wage-gouging, union-busting companies that are now going bankrupt or reorganizing under Chapter 11, they are attempting to cut their pension obligations, meaning that people who have paid into those private corporate pensions all their lives will get nothing. So the defined benefit pension plans are under attack. Where you thought that the risk was on the company, well, these corrupt courts, stocked with reactionary jurists or Wall Street Democrats, they're letting these big companies off the hook, most of them owned by Wall Street. Then, of course, the 401k is being ravaged, right? The IRA and the similar qualified plans where the risk is always on you, but in this case, the risk is now the risk of a collapsing stock market. It's always interesting. The reactionaries always say, invest that money in Wall Street and you'll get bigger returns. Yeah, look at the the Dow Jones from 2000 until 2010. Where has it gone? It's gone nowhere. And all you've got is the fees that you've been paying your broker in the meantime and the loads you've been paying on mutual funds, all of which is avoided under the Social Security system. And now, after the flash crash of May 6th, they'd say, invest your retirement in a stock market that can go down 1,000 points in 10 minutes. It can lose 10% of its value in 10 minutes, and you're supposed to bet your retirement on that. It's a market where 2/3 of the turnover is now flash trading, high-frequency trading, and super rapid program trading. 2/3, 70% of all transactions are done by these arbitrage computers that are trying to eke out these tiny gains. Now, I would point out in passing that flash crash of May 6th, when we put that together with the May 11th peak in short contracts against the euro, about 114,000 short contracts against the euro, that flash crash may have been a bear raid against the euro that boomeranged. It may have been a speculative attack on the euro that misfired, because if you notice, as the Wall Street Journal has shown last Friday, on that fateful day, if you look at the yen-euro cross, the euro lost 10 cents against the yen during those same 10 to 12 or 15 minutes of the flash crash. And that may have been the dog that was wagging the tail of the U.S. stock market, because the stock market, of course, fluctuates, and it always has. But to have a 10-cent move in a currency, right, was essentially an 8 or 9% move of a currency in 10 minutes is out of this world, unheard of. So it seems to me that might have been the last attempt of the hedge funds to engineer the panic crash of the euro, working through that yen cross, and somehow they found that they were destroying their own system. And that may be what they found this past Wednesday, that you can indeed drive the euro down, but if you do it, you're also going to be driving down your New York stock market and everything with it. That's the Dow-dollar trade-off. Dow up, dollar down, dollar up, Dow down, and that's what we found. So the attack on the euro going nowhere. But for Social Security, it's old age pensions and it's unemployment insurance, which is, look at this, the other provision of the Social Security Act of 1935, the jobless benefits that you have paid into, also under attack by these same foaming, wage-gouging, union-busting, reactionary Republicans, the Roosevelt haters, the eternal Roosevelt haters that go back to Hoover and Alf Landon and the rest of these creatures. And you can see what they want: to make the United States into a nation of paupers and to dump the American tradition of high wages and well-paid labor. That's their program. It's a loser. You do this, you better learn Chinese. Back in a minute.